The most engaged I tend to find myself in is when I'm with a group of people that I can learn from. I feel like really energized, and shaping the future I think is really cool.
As salespeople, that buzz of doing a deal, that's what you live for, okay? And when you don't have that as often, you have to manage your emotions.
When I joined Daniel for the first time, I was like, oh my God, this commission's amazing. I'm going to be earning £1 million.
That's out there, people are starting to realise, well, hang on, who's the individual that orchestrated that sale? Because a brand can't sell a property, a home. It's the individual that does it.
Please bear with me. I haven't interviewed many people before, but I'm really looking forward to this one.
Welcome to the Three Intrapreneur podcast. Well, actually, I should say the Four Intrapreneur podcast, because today we're 4 people. Welcome to...
All right, it's enough now. Enough now. Okay, thank you very much. Everybody, welcome to the Three Intrapreneur podcast. We are interviewing the 3 intrapreneurs. I am filling in because sadly you've had a dropout. And you know what? We wanted to be really, what's the word we were looking for?
Authentic.
Super authentic, and make sure that you guys know that you get absolutely the people that you expect to see here in front of you being super authentic. So I'm afraid we've been let down. I'm filling in. I've got some questions here. They're petrified. But trust me, they are unbelievable. They were dabbing their foreheads down because they know what's coming. I'm going to grill them. But I'm going to do it in a nice way. Don't panic. So please bear with me. I haven't interviewed many people before, but I'm really looking forward to this one.
How does it feel to be on the other end of an interview? Now you're the interviewer.
Well, I've interviewed you before, and I've interviewed Benji before. And
No,
that's
but
why you're a DDRE. No, it feels
Did interview me
fine.
though. You're more like, when can you start, please?
I was looking for
Remember
a
that?
gopher, like, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Right. Now, my first question to you all, and we're going to bounce around, and I'd like your view on all these topics, but every single one of you has an opinion. The world's full of opinions. So the first one I've got here for you is, why haven't you had any women on the podcast?
Ooh, okay, I've got this one. So we've only just started bringing on guests to the podcast. Out of respect, we thought that we would bring on our CEO, Mr. Super Prime, as the first guest speaker. We thought it would be a nice thing to do. You obviously agreed. The person who you're filling in for today is a woman. So
your next guest was going to be a woman?
Yes.
no, yeah.
Okay.
It was going to be a woman.
Actually,
Unfortunately,
Okay.
something came up. She couldn't make it.
I actually, just to add, I think, so I was at a semi-networking charity event last night, and in the room there was 15 people, 30, it's a real estate charity event. There was 13 guys and two girls.
Norwood,
yeah. And we were talking about a panel.
Kim was there, wasn't she? Kim?
She was, yeah. We were talking about a panel, and one of the things that we were trying to get an understanding of was of how we can get women nominated in the real estate world. And I don't think it's about our podcast. I think women in real estate is an issue. You know, if you look at
Sorry, what do you mean by women in real estate is an issue?
Sorry.
Wow.
The lack
If we
of
cut that up,
Benji.
the way you cut up my interview, if we cut that up, you're going to get a
going
lot of people
viral.
watching
Benji,
it.
remember, don't speak your mind.
the lack
The lack
of
of
women in you know, senior positions in real estate is atrocious, and I think it's something that needs to be worked on. I mean, it's something we're very aware of in terms of our podcast, but in truth, you know, we were struggling to get a list of influential women in real estate to sit on this panel, and it's a problem.
So okay, fine. I get that. I totally respect that view. I also agree with it. Partially. I'll tell you what I think in a second. But it's a nice way for you to pretty much tell everyone out there that if you're in real estate and you're a woman, yeah, or someone from the BAME community, you'd like to hear from them because there's not much
Definitely.
representation.
Yeah, definitely.
But I would say a couple of things. I think the businesses have done better in promoting women, the big businesses, because they've just got more staff, right? So I think they've done better at promoting women through the business. I don't just think it's a female-male thing, right? I also think it's confidence in doing something like this, right? They have to feel comfortable in talking to the public and not being concerned that their boss back home is going to have an issue with the fact that they've got an opinion too. and that's a tricky thing to sort of have the confidence to do. Yeah,
Yes.
I as someone who runs a business and you guys are part of it, am I a bit concerned about what you guys are going to talk about? I mean, like possibly, but like it's a free world. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. We know that, right? Ollie knows that because of the guy who's trolling him on social media. What do you call your turnip?
User 1694.
That's it,
Yeah,
that's it.
I've had turnip. I've had. I think the last one was knobhead. I think he's. I think
Helmet.
the last one was actually. I think even better. I think he said I put this on to put my son to sleep.
Oh wow!
So that's how
I like it, but that's good.
great. I've actually applauded it. I think it's
100%.
amazing.
You're adding value to
I've
his
actually
life.
almost invited him to the podcast.
Alex's one on the Three Intrapreneurs one, because on TikTok you can have background music.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
guy,
yeah,
someone commented
turn it
saying,
up.
"Can you turn the background music up over your voice?" we won't say what your response was.
I tell you what, though, we should definitely talk about protecting yourself over social channels.
that's a good
So
point.
let's come back to that point.
let's
I'll
do
make
that.
a note.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing is, there's three of you. You're in an environment which is relatively competitive. I still think that we work as a team, right? Even though you're all independent.
We do.
Would you
Massively.
say that's
Yeah.
Would you say that's fair?
100%.
Very fair. It's true.
Okay, so if you had to pick one of you to represent you in the sale of your home, if that makes sense, yeah, who would you pick out of you three?
Can we pick ourselves?
No.
Oh,
So it's out of these two. I have to pick out these two.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ollie, you
that's,
know who you're going to pick. Go on, just say it. Go on.
No influencing, please, Alex.
Sorry.
I've got massive respect for these two. I would pick Benji in the sale of my property. The only reason being with Benji is probably more his sales experience.
You're like, that's just such an easy play. That's just such an, but he's done more sales and he's done more lettings.
No, I think me and Benji, we almost finish each other's sentences sometimes in pitches. I think we're very much aligned in the way.
not sure that's a
Not
good
saying
thing.
that Alex is not. I'll come to Alex in a second. So I think I would pick Benji on the sales side. However, there's been many instances where I've come to Alex to ask for some entrepreneurial creative ideas.
Okay.
And Alex has come up with some amazing ideas on things. So I think, like you said before, very much teamwork in this office, even though we're all split up and we've got all individual listings and some we co-broke with. I know that I can come to Alex at any point in time and he'll offer me some great advice, like I do, hopefully vice versa to Alex.
Okay. You're not allowed that reason, the sales and lettings reason again, okay? If you had to adopt an advisor to represent you. Yeah, so Benji, you're next.
I echo a lot of what Ollie says in terms of, we on the sales side, we finish each other's sentences. I think it depends who the client is, in truth. I think Alex,
you're the client.
Yeah,
I'm the client.
You're
selling your home.
house.
Who are you going to
Sorry,
put? Me or Ollie?
I thought you meant me as the agent.
Yeah.
Who
No,
would
no.
I co-list with?
No.
I think just purely because of the sales experience, I'd say.
No, you can't do that.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Start again.
okay. I think I would say Ollie. It's a very difficult question.
Why Ollie?
Why Ollie? I think Ollie not, and it's not to say that Ollie isn't or Alex isn't.
Go on, just say it. Give it to me.
Ollie
Go on. What am I doing
is
wrong?
one of the best.
What's Ollie got that I haven't?
One of the best negotiators
Height.
and one of the best agents I've come across. He has this skill that he can talk to someone in a very calm manner. Never lets the emotions get the better of him.
So I let emotions get the better of me.
And is always,
I see what you've done here.
Yeah.
no,
It's
is
not very
always
nice.
is always very calm and collected, and many traits that I am, trying to get under my, armory, and I look up to you.
Oh, mate.
And with Alex as well. There's a
Why?
lot.
Why do you want his skills? Who's made more? Who's?
Alex, just stop.
You-
Sometimes
yeah,
you don't
you know
have
what?
to speak, dude.
Forget it.
Sometimes
All right.
silence is a superpower.
No, but there's what I've always done, and I'm fortunate I've always had really good negotiators around me, and I think the same is said for upstairs. I always try and listen to what everyone says. There's a lot that you do that I try to replicate, like the carefree, jovial side of things, which I go in and I'm sometimes too serious. You're always super relaxed, super chilled. you know, you don't, not saying you don't take it too seriously, but some clients that I've been, they gravitate towards that. Whereas I go in with my stats, my figures, my facts, and sometimes that's not always the best case.
I think that's a really important point for people that are listening to this. If they are professionals in the industry, there's a different approach to different kind of clients.
Yes.
And if you are a client listening to this, or a potential client moving forward, your brokers, your agents, your advisors have all different strengths. Yeah, some could be really analytical about things. Some could be more jovial. You might just want to have fun. I've got clients that just want to spend time with me and buy real estate because it's fun.
Shopping with friends.
Believe it or not. Yeah, shopping with friends. Alex, go for it. You've got to sell your £20 million home.
Do I have to pick one of them?
Yes.
He's just pissed off.
I am. I feel I'm going to start my own podcast after this.
Or you could just, dude, or you could just either just improve.
Yeah.
Or you could just pay them off, or just
Very
sack
clever
them.
question.
You could
though.
sack them. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very good question. Do you know what? Because I have. I'm going to use this as an example. I know you said if I was to sell my own home, who would I appoint? I've obviously pitched for listings and got listings that I work with you on only, and then you on only, and then I brought both of you on to them together that we work on as a three. So I think it depends on the client. So some clients.
No, you are the client.
You're the client.
That's what I was trying
You
to
can't
angle
choose.
at.
You can't choose
Right.
your buyer.
Well, if I, you know, we both know that in some situations I'll have you only or you only, and then both of you in some situations. But
Good
if
caveat.
I
But
was
in
the,
this situation,
if I was the client, thank you, because I'm a nice person. If I was the client and I was selling my home, I would probably pick Benji.
Why is that?
I think he's got a bit more pizzazz.
There's a bit more sparkle there.
Yeah, a bit more sparkle.
Okay. Okay, that's. I think.
go on.
I think that's really. I think that's good to know. Okay. What attributes would you like to learn from one another?
I think Benji just mentioned a few about Ollie. Obviously, there's none about me. But
No, that's not
No,
true.
it's
He
not.
said that.
I said a couple.
Alex is a very sensitive soul.
yes, I am.
So hold on, excuse me. I am the person running this podcast.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I ask
Sorry.
questions. Alex is a very sensitive soul, and behind his humour is a very, very soft person, right? You know, with Spartan blood. If you look at Alex's Instagram account, I never quite understood that. I just thought that was good.
I seen that.
Just
You're
did
buying.
like Spartan blood. I was just like, okay, whatever. It's amazing what people. It's amazing how people describe themselves. Actually, that's a good one. As a real estate professional, how would you describe?
Are we answering the first question of what would we like to?
No, this one.
Okay.
If you were going to describe your particular skill set, yeah,
Okay.
what you're good at and what you do, how would you describe it?
Within real estate.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a very good question. I think I'm very good at building trust and relationships with everybody. And I feel that I am able to then use that to my advantage when I need something or when I'm trying to sell something.
What makes you think that you are good at building trust with people?
I feel that everybody that has always spoken about me or has always come to me first, maybe in certain situations, I've always been able to pick up the phone to someone to try and ask for a favor, get into a property first, whatever it may be, get some intel on a seller that helps my purchaser, and I always get that information.
Okay.
Which I think is invaluable when, especially in the real estate world of collaboration and trying to be ahead of the game and finding properties on and off market and knowing that being the next step ahead of people.
So you're gauging your trust levels or
Yes.
trust equity with people is feedback, yeah, and access, yeah, which is a great way of doing it. Also, repeat business. Because you get quite a bit of repeat business. I mean, you came into the business and brought quite a bit of business with you, which is great. Benji,
Remind me the actual question.
how are you going to describe your attributes or what you do?
Forgetful.
My attributes. I would say.
Great memory.
Yeah. One of my strongest attributes is my efficiency.
I'd
Just
agree with that.
Always being available. I mean, I'd probably say it's also perhaps one of my weaknesses in my personal life.
Well, hold on. Let's just stop you there. When you say always, you're always being available. Like, I'm just going to tell you from my personal experience, that sometimes I've tried to reach you and you've either been on the golf course or you've been on the football pitch or you've been playing tennis or you've been abroad. Sometimes you are unavailable, just to put it out there.
So I would agree with that in some instances.
Benji thought being an independent agent was going on holiday and doing a little bit of work afterwards.
Going back to a second point of
a little bit red.
a second point of my attributes, because it's so hot in here. A second point of my attributes, I would say, is that I'm a quick learner. So going back to your point, since that occasion, which I know you're referencing, when you tried to call me on a golf course, I haven't since played golf midweek. Midweek.
He's like, I can't even watch it.
I was so scarred. So I've learned from that situation. We've spoken recently because I've had a few holidays booked. So my next holiday I'm cutting short.
No, but you can do whatever you want.
I know I can do whatever I want, but I'm also a quick learner, so I will do things, and a lot of these things are new for me, being self-employed, and I am a quick learner. So that would be another of my attributes.
So efficiency, and a quick learner.
Quick learner. My final one would be results-driven. So when I say something, I'll get it done, and I'm also confident in my ability to, if we're talking about real estate, get the property sold or rented.
Okay. Or bought.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Alex of Agora, Spartan Blood.
I am Sparta.
Where do I start? How long do we have left? My strengths are the following. I just don't seem very humble saying this. I don't know. Is this really a good exercise?
Yes. Can you please answer the question? You're on my podcast right now.
Okay, fine. Here we go. Firstly, I feel like I present myself very well.
Yep.
I dress well. So first impressions, if we start from the first impression when I meet someone new or say a new client, I think that's step number one. I would say my biggest strength is sales. And I know you say this can sometimes be perceived as a bad word, but manipulation. I feel like I can manipulate certain situations, but in a good way, and use it to our clients' advantage. I learned that from when I was in stockbroking or a junior stockbroker and commodities broker. We learned the straight line method before The Wolf of Wall Street came out as a film. Jordan Belford's straight line method.
What is that?
Getting someone from here, point A to point B, and then they would veer off the track we wanted them to get to. So we'd close that door and then close that door, and you continue closing to get them to point B, which is the sale. We'd had a sheet of rebuttals. I'm not ready to invest right now. I've been thinking about it. Spoke to my accountant, spoke to my wife. I don't think I should do it. And we would always agree. I understand what you're saying. And then say, however, or be that as it may, blah, 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 blah. Boom. And then turn them around. So I've applied those skills to face-to-face sales like we do, backed by an asset I believe in, which is real estate, as opposed to stocks, which can go up, down, wherever. No one really knows. And I feel like I've done pretty well out of it. So I'd say that's one of my biggest strengths, being able to befriend people very quickly. Okay, I know you're going to say that I cross the line
I'm not saying
very
anything.
often. I know I can hear your voice in my head.
Starts with a W.
What wanker?
Go on.
When there's a line that I'm still trying to learn. I sometimes cross with people. I get too friendly or pally with people, and you shouldn't be like that too much. Otherwise, they don't respect you. So that's something I'm working on. But I would say befriending people very quickly is a strength of mine, and just the whole sales process. I feel like I'm very good at. I'm a very, very hard worker. I wasn't very clever at school. I was smaller at school. I know it's hard to believe now with my size
Alex, you
now,
don't have to
but
give
when I
us
was
your whole
younger,
life thing.
I was much smaller. So the only way I could make up for it was really to outwork my peers or my colleagues when I got into the workplace, and just make more calls than them, which meant I'd do more viewings than them, get more offers than them, and get more deals done than them.
I think that's obviously a great way to succeed for anybody, regardless if you're small or tall or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And remember, you have got Spartan blood.
I do.
So that means that
I feel like you're jealous of my
You're going to be
Spartan
worried.
blood.
I'm not. I'm just fascinated by it. I would love to have
What
a
would you
better
like to know?
understanding. I'd like to know everything about Spartan blood.
Okay, so have you seen 300, the film?
You're going to quote this
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe?
Yeah, go on.
No.
Is that I Am Spartan?
Gerald?
Oh, Gerald Butler.
Gerald
Butler,
Butler.
yeah.
Gerald Butler.
Well, I'm Greek, right? And I've got Cypriot and Greek blood in me, Spartan blood. If you know about Spartans, they're very hard people. We get through shit
And you have that.
Eat through walls. Yes. You've
He's
known
got
me
it,
now
he's
for
got
how
it
many
in
years?
abundance, like
In
his
abundance.
tzatziki.
That's a
Tzatziki.
dip.
Tzatziki, yeah.
What's that?
It's a yogurt dip.
It's a yogurt,
It's
it's
a
a Greek
yogurt.
yogurt dip.
It's a yogurt
I
dip.
prefer
Yeah.
Tara.
Okay, so can you guys explain to me what you're seeing in our market professionally? Not about what the market's doing, but professionally, what you think is going on in our industry.
It's changing completely.
Yeah, what does that mean?
I was on the phone to a client talking about this today, asking about a specific company that is semi-brokerage that's taking a lot of these strong agents from the big corporates and bringing them all together. I think it's changing as far as the importance of the individual is much more powerful than the importance of the corporate brand, which has historically been the most important thing. You'd go to a Knight Frank, you'd go to a Savills because, well, you have to, it's Knight Frank, it's Savills. But then actually, with technology and with the data that's out there, people are starting to realize, well, hang on, who's the individual that orchestrated that sale? Because a brand can't sell a property, a home. It's the individual that does it. So I think the key change is the importance of the individual. And with that is the emergence of the brokerage versus the agency model, which we have done a podcast on previously. So it's changing completely. And I think we're going through and perhaps spearheading this paradigm shift in real estate.
I think the collaboration is becoming more and more at the forefront of marketing. Whereas before, these corporate companies would get an instruction and sit there and send it to their buyers, and that's all they would want to deal with. It's all almost flipped on its head now. You have to leverage off every other broker, every other brand out there to be able to maximize the exposure for your client. So now when we get a listing on, we have to speak to every single agent, not just domestically, but globally.
Correct.
And I still feel that there's a lot of negativity from these big corporate companies to do that. And even when I have
I don't think it's just the corporate companies, by the way.
No, I don't. Yeah, I agree. And smaller boutiques too. But what I've seen is a lot of negativity of when even when I've tried to speak to agents to offer them to be ambassadors for my listings or come and preview. I've got a new instruction, Hyde Park. Yesterday I had a 9 to 11 and I must have called 10 different agencies to invite them to come and see the listing so they can see it for themselves. I showed 4 agencies around out the 10. 3 or 4 of them didn't want anything to do with it.
Why?
They're like, they're too busy. I'm too busy. We've got too busy. I've seen it before. I've known of it or something like that. It was all excuses.
And what does that go to show? Sorry, I know this is your show.
No, of course. It goes
to
show that people aren't open-minded now to the approach of where I think the industry is going.
Also, don't care about the buyer, because if they did, they'd want to go and see the stock so that they can work with buyers to bring them into that property as well.
So you know what happens in the US, because they've run this brokerage model for decades now. So on Tuesdays, I think it's called Caravan.
Yeah, the Caravan. Yeah.
And what happens is all the agents on a Tuesday get in their cars. There is something that's posted in the newspaper, right, the week before to say, all these are open houses. You can go see these properties, book yourself in.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's done on digital channels now and whatnot. And they go and have a look at these properties every Tuesday so they understand the inventory. So when they're out meeting the clients, they can say, oh, I saw this house. I know it's off market, but so on and so on and so on. You should come and have a look at it. I've been there with my own eyes. Sometimes now they're even creating content in there. So the agent who's marketing the property has all these agents marketing the properties for them. Because it gives their client a better chance to sell. Just depends on the strategy of sell. But I think that's a really valid point.
Yeah.
And I think just on that, I think that's why it's so exciting with, I think in not only the industry changing with the tech that we have the disposal of with, the use of ADVSR. I was speaking to some friends who went to some open houses in the States and they literally walk in, have a look round, get a few photos for the Instagram and leave. And there's no follow up. There's no real, it works in the States, but what I think when the mentality changes in the UK that brokers won't think like that, they'll think, okay, great, I'm going to go and see it. We then have ADVSR, which allows us as the broker of that listing to follow up easily and send that listing, the images, high resolution content to that broker with their branding on, so they can then distribute it to their agents. In the States, whilst the model is up and running and working there, they don't have the tech that we have
to support them.
So when the shift happens, which we're in the middle of now, I think us as agents at DDRE Global with the use of ADVSR and then other agents will have the use of it, it's just the winning formula, in my opinion.
But also, I think it's bigger. I think what I've started to look at is we're not just looking at just brokers. I was, had a coffee this morning with a lawyer.
I wanted to come to this point. Yeah, go ahead.
And nowadays we are so small-minded into looking at just real estate, and then now we've started to venture out into other agents. Now we need to collab. Now we need to also look at influencers of surveyors, lawyers, wealth managers. And I sat down with this solicitor this morning, and I said I want him to come to all of my brokers' opens because he holds clients. He's the typical. He's a lawyer who loves to get to know his clients. He befriends his clients forever.
People usually trust lawyers the most.
Well, anyone in this sphere of influence.
Yeah.
Like we've always said, someone has a sphere of influence, and it might be their real estate advisor. It could be their lawyer. It could be their mortgage broker, their architect, whoever it may be. So now we need all of these other, sectors within the industry, within the real estate market, to be able to come in and also influence, because they can help us market to their clients who hold trust.
Yeah.
We don't mind if a buyer gets introduced to us via their gardener, their dog walker. It doesn't matter. But we have to find that buyer, and how we find that buyer is via that person. And it's not just in this minuscule sector of, I need the broker down the road. And he was like mind blown by that. He was like, of course I should be doing that. We need him.
Well, he's quite entrepreneurial as well.
Yes.
Because he works in a company that is a plug and play, a bit like DDRE. Okay. I think that we covered that point. My next question for you guys is, when you're working in an organization, you're getting paid a salary. And I know you've talked about this before. You sort of have that comfort zone, and you don't really succeed and hit stars. You sort of succeed within that environment, and you've decided to move into a different place where there is no glass ceiling. Yeah, you can go as far as you want to go. But with that, there's downside. With everything in life, there's upside and downside. So I'd like us to be really honest with people about how do you deal with the fact that it could take you weeks or months to do a deal? Like, how do you deal with that?
It's really, really hard.
Yeah, I think that
really hard.
That for me was the hardest shift.
How often did you do a deal before?
We would probably do 50 deals, 60 deals a year.
So each person?
That's
No,
one a week.
as an office.
As an
Obviously,
office.
I ran
How many salespeople?
No,
I had one negotiator, so I would personally probably do 30 sales a year. Probably average 2 or 3 a month.
so I did 1 to 2 a week. Lettings in Covent Garden.
it's
yours is such
and
high
Camden.
volume.
maximum.
Yeah.
Yeah. So imagine going from that to this.
Well, that was the one snippet that when I met you, Daniel, and we were talking about, obviously me coming on board, the analogy of I was used to boom, 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 and getting that, deal done, deal done, deal done. And now you go from boom, boom.
Well,
and
for you, it's more like boom.
Hey, look, did first one in 10 days. No, look,
did.
and I think that it's the psychological.
Yeah, but how do you deal with that?
As salespeople, that buzz of doing a deal, that's what you live for, okay? And when you don't have that as often, you have to manage your emotions, and you have to manage your energy levels and everything else around you.
And not just mental though, also your actual money.
I was going to say, you have
You've
to
got to
manage
manage
your
your
finances.
money,
Yeah.
which is something I wasn't very good at before.
Yeah.
So I've had to become good at it.
Yeah.
When I joined Daniel for the first time, I was like, oh my God, this commission's amazing. I'm going to be earning £1 million. If I got that first deal we did every single month, I would have been earning like about £1 million a year. I said to my parents, oh my God, I'm going to be earning £1 million with Daniel.
That's when Alex liked me.
Yeah.
And I was used to like everything that would come in before when I was at CBRE or Portico, wherever I was at, I was spending it all.
Yeah.
And I had to change, which was very hard. Especially a young man living in London who grew up in kind of a nice area and wants to show his peers and his old school friends, fuck you, I've done really well now. It's very hard to tone that down,
Yeah.
not show it, not show your wealth. Be, live, what's it called again? Living below your means.
Beyond.
Below. No, living below your means is hard.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it is hard.
Well,
I don't think living...
it was for me.
Well, it depends. I think there's an
Everyone's
element of...
different.
Yeah, but I also think there's an element of maturity. Like, we're all maturing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, even I'm maturing to a certain extent. Like, no one's the perfect fit all the time. You speak to clients, you'll go and meet your clients who are very successful and you think they've made it and done it and that's it. They're still working on themselves too. That's often a lot of people don't think about that. The clients aren't finished product. That's not how it works. You're always learning. You're always growing. I think living beneath your means is very healthy. I've done that for many, many years. It enabled me to set up the business, thank God, right? And I think it's a really valid point, what you've just said. I think it's unbelievably valid that managing your wealth also becomes a skill that you have to learn. But it's a good skill to learn because you can manage that throughout the rest of your life. Whether you choose to go into corporate agency or independent or become an artist, it doesn't really matter because you learn discipline about doing things with your money, when you should do it, how you should do it, how you need to protect yourself, but also how you need to invest in yourself.
Yes.
That I think is extremely valuable.
Yeah.
And you become a better advisor.
Yeah, of course you do. Well, I think that when you have the responsibility of your own wealth and you're the king of your own castle and you create your own destiny, I think that you can appreciate a little bit more as to what other people are going through in their lives, like when they're selling their home and all of a sudden they're going to be very liquid, but then what might they be doing with that money? Will they put that in a separate investment? Will they put it in an ISA? Are they going to put it in stocks and shares? You know, now all of a sudden you're getting a much wider view of what wealth looks like.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's really healthy. You just have to be prepared in the first little while to know that it's going to be a bit painful and you're going to make mistakes. And then you don't make those mistakes again.
Yeah.
You know, you have to learn from them.
Yeah.
But you're all in very serious relationships. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all engaged.
Yeah. You're all in very serious relationships. How do your partners support you through this up and down? Because, you know, previously when you worked in corporates, you were just frustrated that you make enough money. Now you're concerned that you might not make enough money, and you're super ecstatic that you're making a shed ton of money. Yeah. So how do your partners help you through that process?
I mean, I would probably say, and I didn't answer the question before, so I'll try and tie it into this. I wouldn't be where I am without Talia. I truly think that she's my sounding board. Going back to your previous question, it can be incredibly hard, you know, being self-employed as an agent, you know, coming from a salary. You know, the previous business I was in, I was there for 9 years. You know exactly what you're getting paid at the end of the month. You might top it up with the odd deal or here or there. And it's, you know, you know exactly what you're getting into. Obviously now where we are, we have the opportunity, as you said, with the glass ceiling to, you know, earn as much as we want to earn. But that's when the market's good, and we all know the market is in a tricky place at the moment. You know, the summer has been relatively quiet with a lot of people away. And, you know, learning how to manage your finances when you're never taught how to manage your finance. You know, no one's taught that at school.
Which is bonkers, isn't
which
it?
is
Yeah,
bonkers and
bonkers.
something we've spoken about.
Before, yeah.
And, you know, ultimately when, I'm sure Ollie and Alex can agree, you know, you feel on top of the world when you do a good sale and you know, you see the bank transfer, you know, come through and you get a bit happy and you get a bit excited. And I think that's where Talia comes in and brings me back down to earth because, you know, for the first time in my life, I've, you know, seeing numbers come through on paychecks that I've never seen before. And it can be very difficult it can be very easy to get carried away. So I think Talia supporting me from that side and giving me the strength to...
What does that look like when you say supporting you?
Telling me, no, we're not going on that holiday. We're not doing this. We're changing this date. We're doing this. We're doing that. I don't want you to buy me this, you know, because I work my nuts off so I can, you know, live a nice lifestyle. But then because it's the first time that I've been self-employed, I don't know when my next paycheck's going to come. So for me, I'm learning how to manage my finances. And I think I perhaps maybe, you know, got a bit ahead of myself. But as you said, you go through these things, you learn, and, you know, please God for the next, you know, I'm about to be 30, you know, from 30 to 40, please God will be maybe the peak of my career. And if I'm learning now in being with you for a year and a half, being self-employed, and that's okay. But in terms of how Talia supports me, she keeps me grounded, and doesn't let me carried away.
Does she not cook dinner for you if you've been a naughty boy and you've booked a holiday when she shouldn't? No, but I'm being serious.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I fully appreciate that you come here. It can be a really fun environment. It can be a stressful environment. You know, you pick to be here, and your partner's in it with you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what do they say to you? What do your partners say to you?
I think my my partner, she's so supportive. She knows when to ask me questions and when not to. She can tell, like, I think when you're in a relationship with someone, you can tell when your partner needs to pick me up. You know when they're maybe annoyed and they need a little bit of time on their own. So I think she's amazing at being able to manage what I'm going through at that period of time. But for me personally, obviously I've got a little boy, Alfie, who's going to be 3 years old in the next couple of weeks.
Mashallah.
My missus is like a superwoman. She's a superwoman. She works she's fully employed, and she picks up Alfie, takes him to school. She does do more dinners regularly than I cook. I'll hold my hands up to it. She understands that our job is not a 9 till 6 and that I have to pick up a call at 10, 11 o'clock at night, or we have to get in early. And I was doing viewings till 8:30 last night, not get back till 10. So she's like the support mechanism.
Do you think you'd be in the same place you are today without her?
100% no. 100% no. And also because when I was younger, I came out of school and I did okay, but I didn't really know what I was doing. Didn't want to go to university. And I was like, oh, he's doing nothing with his life. And she was still with me at that time. She was like, no. Like, she was supported me throughout that time.
That's really interesting, isn't it?
Which was amazing.
Yeah.
When she could have, like, everyone was sort, I remember her friends going, oh, he's not doing anything with himself. And I look back at like what I'm doing now, where I'm in my life with what I own and my asset and my job and my career and what I want to be in the future. And I would say I'm outperforming those people now. She was there from day one, and I'm not rich, nowhere near it, but I'm rich in what I have in where we are in my life now.
Depends on what you're benchmarking against.
You
are rich.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. So I would never be where I am now if I didn't have Alex.
I think that this concept of wealth, right, is absolutely misguided.
Yeah.
I would say 90% of the world are less fortunate than you guys, right? And it's what you tell yourself and the perception you tend to have is going to dictate your future. So when I was younger, I would definitely benchmark against my friends and go, well, they're doing better than me. Now I never really feel that way. Because I think it's more important that you choose to learn from everybody around you. I really do.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be in this position if I hadn't learned from all the people in the US and in Australia and other places around the world where I've met these people. I didn't go, oh, they're making more money than me. I mean, they were drastically, but I learned from them, and that's the way to improve.
Yeah.
It's like when Benji said, well, I want to, there's no glass ceiling, I'll earn what I want to earn, or something like that you said earlier. You will earn what your skill set enables you to earn.
I.e., the more you learn, the more you earn.
The more you learn, the better you become at executing whatever it is you are choosing to do, the more successful you will be. And with success comes money.
It's a byproduct.
It's a byproduct.
Yeah.
So personally, I'm never really concerned about capital, cash, money, moolah, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I just want to continue to do better.
Yeah, and that's an amazing point. I also think it's sometimes taking yourself out your comfort zone. You guys have done that though.
Oh yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Do you remember when I first joined you? I was having panic attacks. Do you remember? A massive imposter syndrome. Hang on. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll all suffer with it. It's a good thing though.
I think I agree. You want to learn from people. You're older than the three of us.
Thanks.
And
not combined
by loads.
My point being, it's easier to, I've got 15 years to go to get to that seat, and it's easier to say, I would love to just, learn from everyone, but it can be difficult.
No, it's your mental. It's your approach to your life. We don't have a relationship where we sit here and go, yes, you're right, and we baby step around one another, because we want to go really far and we want to do it in the right pace, right tempo. We can't have a relationship if we're just going to just softly with one another.
Yeah.
So I don't agree with that. And let me just explain. 15 years ago, I never had an opportunity to learn from somebody who was very, very, very good at what they did, who had so much experience that it was just so easy to learn, and therefore speed up and accelerate their opportunity of success. you would have to be super smart to get to somebody who's at the top of the industry, right? Because they would have to pay for you to be next to them. And the only reason they would do that is by you coming out of university with A stars in physics and whatever else it may be. You all now have the opportunity to learn from some of the wisest people on the planet, because you can go onto social media, depending on what your algorithm is delivering to you. You can go onto social media and learn a shed ton of information from other brokers around the world that may not have the tagline Mr. Super Prime or whatever it may be. Some of the best agents in the world sell £200,000 houses in middle America, right? It is your choice as to whether or not you want to be a consistent learner by being inquisitive. And I can assure you, I promise you this, that it's great now because we've got an opportunity and we've got some very wise people upstairs and here in the creative team that we can learn from a lot of different people. But it is your attitude now of who can you learn from and what you can understand better, and then how can you execute better.
Yeah.
And that's not an age thing now. It's absolutely, you've got access to insane amounts of information. That's something that you have to grasp and go for. Manage your money, manage yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Your wives and girlfriends are there because they're living their life, but they've chosen to support you. And you've chosen to support them. But they definitely get it in the neck from you guys every now and again, right? Mind you, Harriet definitely wears the trousers in your relationship. 100%. Look at him. He doesn't want to say anything.
I don't talk about my love life.
He doesn't want to say, oh, you don't talk about your love life. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's completely true.
If you were going to look back in 15 years' time and go, I was a success. I'm retiring now. At 45, my age roughly. Yeah, say you're 50 and you're retiring 20 years from now. And you're going to retire. I don't think any of you will retire, actually, but let's say you look back and go, oh yeah, you sat there on your rocking chair and your white picket fence, that's probably going to be me. And you look back and go, oh yeah, I was a success. What does success actually look like to you guys?
That is a very, very good question. A very good question. Do you want to go first?
I'd say my idea of that answer is changing the whole time.
Yeah.
It does change.
I've got in my bedroom on a piece of paper my 1, 2, and 5 year goals, and my 5 year goals is to have, since joining the business, is to have an annual income of £1 million, is to have 2 kids or 3 kids, and to have a team of agents at the business. That's what I wrote.
That work in your team.
That work in my team.
So a group of people that work for Benji Weinberger.
Yeah, that's what I wrote down as my goals, and therefore would be success. I wrote that down about 16 months ago, 17 months ago. Now, I don't know what I would write, because, you know, as I'm maturing, as I'm making mistakes and learning from mistakes, I don't think it's anything to do with money, personally. And, you know, I learn a lot from you, and listening back 3 or 4 times to the podcasts that we had with yourself, you know, I think it's about people and experiences and life experiences and how you help other people.
I think, something for me happened this morning actually with Jason. Jason listens to our podcast.
Is this the lawyer?
This is a lawyer who was in a big corporate world, and 8-9 weeks ago jumped and went self-employed.
Stop 1 second.
Yeah.
There's something that I want us to do as a business. I made a note on this actually. Is it a jump?
Good. Another good point.
But
No.
this is again my view.
it's not. It's all in your head.
Changes on things.
It's all in your head.
Now, having done it, it's taking an opportunity. It's the best
I think
opportunity
it is,
of our life.
There is,
It's a psychological block.
But at the day one, I was like, this is a risk.
So I want to know,
yeah.
is it
Finish off the story. In a sec.
finish the story in a second. We'll come back to you, I promise. Yeah. Is it a jump? Do you think that is the correct word when choosing to make a decision?
No.
Because for all the people that are listening to us now, would you say that there's an element of risk in anything when you're sort of leveling up? But would you say it was a jump?
You do want to jump in with both feet. You want to go all in.
That's your commitment.
Your commitment wise, yes. But it's not the jump you think it is what I would say.
Okay.
How would you
It's
analyze
not-
it then?
I think when you're in a salaried role in a big corporate cushy company that looks after you and sends you business and gives you clients to look after, and you've got this big brand behind you because you're, that's safe with offices all around the world and does marketing for you, you're very safe, you're very comfortable, you're very cushy. And you will then build up this psychological barrier in your head that limits you to that. You don't think you can then go out and do that. They brainwash you. They pay you that £30,000 salary a year plus commission to buy your dream away from you.
I want you to think about. It's a very good
But
word.
that was me.
Great way to
And me.
explain it. But when you think about
the word.
a word or words, because I don't want people listening to us and then going, "Hey."
So are you saying we should change the word
Sidestep.
jump?
I think you think it's a side step. That's,
No.
that's an interesting one. I don't think it
wouldn't
is.
say that, no.
What else?
Like a...
Shall I tell you what I think it is? I think it's a step up. You got to step up. You got to step up to the opportunity. Yeah. You got to step up towards your goals.
I went to an Anthony Robbins course for 4 days. It cost me a lot of money in a hotel when I was at CBRE. And on the last day, this is going to sound really funny. It was a very intense course. And the last day, for about an hour, we had to chant and repeat what he was saying to us back to him. And it was like 10 sentences over again. And one of them was, step up, step up.
Taught him everything he knows.
And it's the point. At the beginning, we had to write down things that were blocking us from doing what we really want to do. And it was like starting my own company, thinking I'm stupid. People all my life saying that you're stupid, you should be in special needs, go and have an ADHD test, blah, blah, blah. And it's funny he says that because that came out in the course.
I think it's a step
It
up.
is a-
I do
agree
think
with
it
that.
is a step up. For me personally, I would say from where I was to where I am now in every aspect of my life, I've stepped up. Like I've sat in meetings with the office of my previous business and felt immensely proud.
What?
As it
Now? You've been in meetings now?
Recently.
With
And I'm-
Mike Frank?
Yeah, and I'm like in that room thinking, wow.
I've stepped up.
Yeah, like in a nice way. Yes, I've stepped up, looking at people in the room, and I'm incredibly proud. And yeah, 100%, I would say it's a step up, not just in a working capacity. As a human, I've stepped up.
But let me just go, I want to go back to this.
Yeah, let's go to the
we
story.
kind of fell
Yeah, yeah.
back. And it goes back to the what do you want to do in 15 years. So anyway, we sat down this morning and he said to me, he listened to our podcast all the time.
Yeah, Jason.
Jason left and took the step up because of me.
Really? And
He's got 3 kids and he listened to the podcast and he listened to what he completely related to the background of being comfortable, still working hard and getting to a good point, and then he was like, I need to do this now. And
Wow.
4 or 5 months later,
is
he's done that.
Is he shocked at what he's done in 4 or 5 months?
So he
In a good
left
way.
like 8 weeks ago. So he's just started.
And how's it going?
He's fantastically well. He loves it already.
Wow.
But he's 8 weeks in. But he said to me, honestly, that the moment that you spoke, because I think he related to the fact that obviously I've got a little boy and you've got mortgages, he's got 3 kids. It's a big step. And he said that was the reason why. And that, like, no one's ever said that to me before. I've influenced somebody's life in such a positive effect. And that for me is that feeling, which I think I want to look back in 15 years and not just have that feeling to Jason, but for people to be able to say, thanks, Ollie, or I've influenced people in a positive way, hopefully, be it real estate or business in general, and I've been a positive impact in their life.
So I'm going to stop you there. I think that's wicked. One final question before we finish. And you've answered yours, so you don't have to do it.
Done.
You can relax now. What kind of legacy, because you've said that you want to leave your legacy, what kind of legacy would you guys like to leave? You don't have to, but what kind of legacy would you like to leave?
Last 2 questions. So, people might not want to leave a legacy per se behind, but I would like to leave something positive for my family and my. What's the opposite of an ancestor? If I'm an ancestor to someone else, offspring.
Yeah, you could
so
say
my-
offspring.
So the next generation, next few,
Of
like
the
next 6
Evagoras.
generations, the
Of the
Evagoras,
Evagoras.
yeah. or the Evergora Whartons, shall we say?
The small,
She wears the
There's
trousers.
the small
Yeah.
Spartans
So-
that are
Go
gonna
on.
be running around.
So I'd like to leave something positive, maybe even a book that gets handed down through the generations. Not one particularly
nice.
publicly available, but like teachings by granddaddy or great granddaddy Alex. You know, do this, don't do that, save your money, blah blah blah. You know, something like that. I'd like to build something that they remember me by and thank me for.
Nice.
I'd also, I didn't answer your question about the idea of success, but I'd like to have my own charity one day. You would know that every year I try to do something for charity, an event, Yorkshire Three Peaks or whatnot. And one day I want to have my own charity, and I want to have a big family that actually loves me and wants to be in my company. I feel like the last 10 years I have neglected my family and my friends, which is quite sad, but it's a sacrifice I feel like I've had to make to get here. So I want to
Mate, the DDRE
pick that up
family
again.
love you, mate.
thank you. It
Sometimes.
means a lot. I love you too.
Just not when you're on your
Benj?
phone.
No, sorry, let me just build upon that. Initially, and I think this is okay, by the way, if you're 17, 18, 19, and just realizing money and the economy and Lamborghinis and bottle shows in a club, that's okay, and it does motivate you at the beginning, and it did me. I went through a really bad breakup, and my biggest motivation was, you know, like, fuck you to my ex. I'm going to show you, and I tried to become successful out of trying to show her, like, oh, you're going to regret, you know, that one day. And she was dating someone who was like a semi-pro footballer at the time. So I thought, shit, if he goes pro, he's going to have a salary of 200 grand a week. I need to get to that to make her jealous. That was my drive back then. But then it's changed now to something that's not very monetary, just passing down lessons, making sure everyone's happy in my family, and then wanting to be around me, having loads of little kids comfortably, you know, financially comfortable, but not like Lamborghinis, bottle shows in clubs, 10 houses around the world. It's not about that.
No, definitely not. 100%.
So now it's like family, charity,
Cool.
giving.
I think that's Harriet.
She's changed me
I think that's
for
Harriet.
the better.
I think that's
She has.
Harriet.
I love Harriet's pieces. My missus, you lot haven't met her. You will, and you obviously will invite her to my wedding. She is amazing. Like, she's a teacher, primary school teacher.
Nice.
To do that, to teach 30 kids every day, you have to have so much patience
100%.
and be kind and be gentle.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm one of those kids still. So
She's got 31 kids then? 30 at school.
Literally.
and you at
Harriet and I
Yeah.
have got a lot in common. I've just only got 23.
yeah.
So funny story. Harriet actually matched on Hinge with Daniel before we met.
Is that the one that you met up with?
don't know
and
what's
that you
it-
said, oh.
No,
shit,
don't
sorry.
tell him. Don't tell him. He's going to get upset. He'll be in this downward spiral. Look at him.
No, because he went on a date with my ex-girlfriend as
No.
well.
Excuse me. Do you mind?
We can edit this out, but did you
Do
actually
you mind?
sleep with
Do
her?
you mind? What are you
Edit it
talking?
out.
Is that what
Excuse
he's
me.
done?
Edit it out.
Stop.
You
Stop.
just said, is that the... All right.
Alex, chill. Right.
We're joking
Benji, your legacy.
My legacy, again, similar to the point that I said about where I'm going to be in 15 years is changing. In truth, I think I'm in a period of my life at the moment where I'm taking a long, hard look at myself. Because as I said, a lot of change in my life has happened over the last 2 years. You know, taking the step up and reevaluating an awful lot. I'm getting married. Please God, we'll have kids not too long after. I think, in answer to the question, my idea of what a legacy I'd want to leave behind is for my immediate family. You know, my kids and what I can leave for them. Without going too deep into it, you know, I feel like that's something that I perhaps didn't have. And as I said, I'm at a period where I'm learning a lot about myself in all different aspects. So in answer to what legacy I want to leave, it's something I'm probably will be able to give you an answer within the next year or so, because I'm going through this, you know, transition of a lot of different things. But I would say for me, it's about my kids and what I can leave for them.
Okay,
But
cool.
probably a year ago, I would have said
Golf.
golf, money, football,
That's fine.
flashy things. But
It's a byproduct.
Yeah.
That's
It's a
fine. It's
byproduct
normal.
of- Not a
Okay, cool.
legacy. What about you? Just quickly.
My legacy,
Yeah,
I just want to have a
quickly.
massive impact on the industry, raise a healthy family,
Yeah.
do things that haven't been done before.
Travel experience.
Yeah, Yeah. Like I think it's quite holistic. I've lived enough of, I've driven sports cars and I've traveled a lot. I get the most engaged I tend to find myself in is when I'm with a group of people that I can learn from. I feel like really energized. And shaping the future, I think is really cool. So as much as I like helping other people, like from a transactional point of view and some guidance for you guys, so you guys can go and build your careers, I get probably more enjoyment in just being around things and having impacts on stuff that is much bigger than me and much more important than me. That's probably it.
Yeah. Nice.
Cool. Well, I'd like to thank you, like the three amigos, the three intrapreneurs, for their 55 minutes we've gone over.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for everyone listening.
Thanks, Daniel.
Usually Alex would say, please pay the fee and like, subscribe and whatever. I'm just going to say, if you like it, would you mind please sharing it, subscribing, and leave a really nice comment. That would be great. Yeah. And if there's anyone that you know that you think should be on this podcast, please leave a comment or DM the guys.
Yeah.
Cool?
Yeah. User 129, who also on TikTok.
Yeah, please.
Well.
You've got an invite.
And Daniel, you have to say to the jingle.
Oh, and now to the jingle.